Hello, welcome to today's video. We are on page number 115 of the Keyboard Musicianship Book 1, Piano for Adults. This is chapter 4 of this book, discussing the minor pentachord or pentascale, also minor triad, subdominant chord, which is 4, 6, 8 meter, 16th notes, harmonization, repertoire, musicianship activities, and technique. Okay. So we have this screen, we have me here at the top in the corner, and then down here, of course, down here, you can see we have a scale. We have a C major scale. So we're going to compare this C major scale to the other minor scales. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to remind ourselves how these major scales are constructed in terms of half steps and whole steps. So let's go ahead and put a few triangles here to discuss how we create this C major scale. And so the first one, C right there to D, C to D, is going to be called a whole step because it goes from C to D sharp, C sharp to D, and that's our full whole step right there. And then we have D to E, also a whole step because it passes through that black key right there. But take a look, now we have E to F, they're right next to each other, so we call that one a half step. Now F to G is called a whole step because it passes through a black key. G to A, also known as a whole step. And then A to B, also known as a whole step. And then, of course, the last one, B to C, they're right next to each other, so that's known as a half step right there. Very good. Okay, so when we discuss these half steps or in whole steps, we want to understand that this is how we construct any major scale. So we can actually start with C sharp, any one on the piano, and if we use this formula, this is how we will construct any of the 12 major scales. All right, so that's important to remember and to understand. Let's keep that in mind, please. Okay, so now that we understand that about the major scales, let's go ahead and compare that to the minor scales. So C major Ionian, let's say goodbye to that one. The next scale we have here is C natural minor. We're actually going to go through all three minor scales today. So the C natural minor is also known as C Aeolian mode, which comes from E flat, which is why you see an E flat time or key signature right there. So the distinguishing characteristics from C major to C minor are going to be the flat 3, flat 6, and the flat 7 scale degrees. They are lowered a half step, which is what makes them sound natural minor. Let's go ahead and play this C natural minor ascending so we can hear what it sounds like. All the lowered 7, 6. So there are our C natural minor scales or scale. Let's go ahead now and talk about the half steps and whole steps between these scale degrees. Okay, so obviously between the first and second scale degree is C to D. That is still going to be a whole step. But now that 3 has been flatted, we have a half step here between D and E flat. Now we have next one, E flat to F is now a whole step. Change from before. F to G, still a whole step. G to A flat, now a half step. And then A flat to B flat is actually a whole step. And then B flat to C is also a whole step. So if you want to learn how to construct any of the natural minor scales, you can use this formula, WH, W, WH, W, W. Okay? So natural minor, it's important to understand that we have this seventh one, which is te. If we talk about the solfege, it can be do, re, me, fa, sol, le, te, and do as the solfege. Okay, so that's natural minor. Very good. Let's go ahead now and move on to the next one, which is the one that was being discussed here in our book, which is known as C harmonic minor. So what makes harmonic minor different from natural minor? Well, we still have the lowered third scale degree, E flat, because of this key signature. We also have the lowered sixth scale degree, still A flat, but look at this. We originally, from a B flat, it is now a raised seventh scale degree. It is back to the natural B note right there. Okay, so let's go ahead with these new characteristics. Let's discuss the whole steps and half steps of each of these. Okay, between 1 and 2, as usual, just what it will be for all of these scales, it's going to be a whole step. This one here, once again, still has the half step because it goes from D to E flat to F. Still a whole step. Nothing's changed there. F to G, still a whole step. But then, of course, G to A flat, half step again. Now, this is the most unique one here. A flat to B natural is actually way bigger than a whole step. It's a whole step plus a half step. It is 3 half steps in all. So whole step plus half step. This is why it has that very unusual sound when you play a C harmonic or any kind of harmonic minor. Listen carefully. So we have those 3 half steps right there. It's a little bit of a leap. It's a huge jump right there. Okay, so between B natural is a half step, making it with the solfege do, re, me, fa, sol, le, ti. It's not because of half step. Do. Okay, so very good. That is the harmonic minor. Next, we're going to go to melodic minor. Now, melodic minor is in kind of like in 2 parts, maybe even 3 parts if you think about it really. So let's talk about the distinguishing characteristics between this and the major, C major. We still have the flat third right there. That's still there. But now we have, once again, naturalized 6th scale degree raised from the natural minor, A flat, and the raised 7th scale degree naturalized from the B flat, which is from natural minor. So with this ascending scale, because it's different when it descends as it comes from ascending. So we're going to play this scale. Listen to this, how this sounds. It's kind of strange. So the bottom part is going to be minor, but the top part, if you also think about it in hand positions, when playing scales, we think about the first part being in C minor and the second part being in F major. F major, of course, without the flat B. So it sounds like the bottom half is minor, but the top half is major. That's quite interesting how it sounds like that. Okay, so that's the way that sounds. When we ascend with the C melodic minor, we raise the 6, we raise the 7, and we go to the do again, or to the tonic. The solfege is going to be do, re, me, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Just like we do regularly for C major. Interesting, isn't that? Let's talk about the whole steps and half steps for this one. It's going to be kind of half minor, half major, reminiscent of what we did in the previous two scales. So half for minor and then half for major. We're going to have a whole step here. We have a half step here once again. A whole step, and then of course G, F to G, G to A is also a whole step, just like we did before. Whole step here, and then once again half step like we did for major. So kind of half and half. The very difference from the melodic minor ascending is when we descend. So when we descend, it's actually, get this, it's going to go back to natural minor. So natural minor descending is B flat, A flat, E flat. So everything you have in the key signature, B flat, A flat, and E flat, is what you're going to apply. There is no accidental or raised or lowered. It is still going to be A flat, B flat, and E flat. So anything we did with the scale degrees for natural minor is going to be the same here. Okay, so in all, once again, recap. Melodic minor is lowered third, but raised sixth and seventh. When we go back down, we lower the seventh and the sixth scale degrees again, along with the lowered third. So it's kind of like two parts. Okay, very good. So let's go ahead now, go back to our book. And when we play, we're going to understand that the pentascales, or the pentachords that they talk about here, are going to utilize those little formulas. We have whole, whole, half, whole for major, and then for the minor, we have whole, half between 2 and 3, whole, whole. And this is important because we are at the bottom. Notice that it says the minor triad is going to be transposed to all white and black keys. Now, how are we going to be able to do this? So either you can do it on your own, in your mind, at the keyboard, or you can write it out. It is up to you. For now, we're going to go ahead and play it just at the keyboard here. Let's go ahead and figure out what these all are going to be. We start with the major, and then we go to the minor just by lowering the third scale degree. And as we discuss that, you're going to realize, hey, this is actually not that hard to do. If I can already do this in all 12 keys for major, I can do it for minor just by lowering my finger number 3 by a half step. All right, let's go through them. C major, C minor, half note, rest, and then the triad, which is 1, 3, and 5. So now go to C sharp major. So that's C sharp. Just lower this one down here. It is no longer E sharp, but it's now E natural. And then we have that C sharp minor. D major. We should have already learned this one previously. D minor, all white keys. D sharp major or E flat. Just lowering that to G flat instead of G. All black keys. Then we have E major. This is a pentascale we should have already been working on. All white keys, E minor. Next, F major. Oops. A flat. F minor. And we have F sharp major. We have a white key there. A. F sharp minor. G major. B flat. G minor. G sharp major or A flat. Lowering by a half step. Which is going to be either B natural or it's going to be C flat. Okay, next one, A major. A minor, all white keys, A, C natural. And there's our A minor chord. A sharp or B flat. So B flat is going to be D flat, or A sharp is going to not be C double sharp, it's just going to be regular C sharp. B major. So that's going to be D natural instead of D sharp. Back to C major. Okay, so here's a little melody in C minor, a spiritual melody, Go Down Moses. Notice how it is with the E flat major key signature, or also known as C minor key signature. And when playing that, the third is flat, but just like we did for both melodic and harmonic, the seventh scale degree is raised. Okay, very nice. So let's go ahead and work on this page here. Be able to play all the pentascales in major and their parallel minor. Okay, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next lesson.